The Golden State Warriors' second half of the season does start today. Warriors versus Lakers. However, there's still a lot of question marks surrounding the Golden State Warriors roster and really their playoff chances. So I sat down, I thought of 3 Golden State Warriors players who have to, need to, must step up in the next 29 games, not only to save their jobs, but also to help save the Warriors season, who have been flirting with that 500 line for quite some time now. They got really hot before the All-Star break. The All-Star break came, and now it's over, and I really want to see the Golden State Warriors improve throughout the rest of the season, which is exactly what we're going to talk about today on Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Allie Barefoot, and this is the many faithful members of Dub Nation, over 61,000 subscribers on this channel, and I wish I could personally thank each and every one of you. But instead, all of the new subscribers that will come to this channel, I'm going to give them a shout out. I'm going to pick 5 new subscribers to get a shout out in our next video, so you guys are not going to want to miss that. Go on ahead and hit that sub button for me. Let's break down what next year's contracts are going to look like, because there's a lot of expiring contracts, but also not a lot of guaranteed money for some of these players. We know Klay Thompson is facing free agency in the offseason, which there are already a lot of rumors that he's going to explore the free agency. Dario Saric, he's more of a free agent that maybe will stay with the Golden State Warriors, but I haven't really seen a ton from his performance to really keep him on the Warriors next year. Kevon Looney will be making $8 million next year, but only $3 million is guaranteed. And he's kind of up there with Dario in the sense that he really hasn't shown me why Mike Dunleavy should continue with Kevon Looney. And of course, Chris Paul is not guaranteed his $30 million next year. So I think that starts off the most improved player that needs to happen here for the Golden State Warriors is Chris Paul. I understand Chris Paul has been out since January 5th with a hand injury after he did have surgery, a very extensive surgery in his hand that required about 15 brackets, nails, stitches, all of the above to be able to fix his hand. I know he's 38 years old, but Chris Paul needs to step up if he wants a job next year, in my opinion. There is actually an injury update to Chris Paul. Kendra Andrews did tweet out Chris Paul was a full participant in practice, including 5-on-5s. Kerr says the next step is for the training staff to get a feel for where his conditioning is, but he said he's not going to be playing tonight against the Lakers, but hopefully he is nearing a return. Once again, Chris Paul, he's old in NBA years, 38 years old. But here's the thing that really starts to irk my nerves for somebody like Chris Paul, is the fact that Jordan Poole was sent to the East Coast to acquire Chris Paul to pretty much make up for his contract. But he has done nothing to push the needle for the Warriors this season, except maybe in assists. Because if you look at his past 4 years, he's obviously hitting career lows in the Bay Area, which is not how he wants to go out, especially because he was playing for a Western Conference contender in the Phoenix Suns last year. He was averaging 32 minutes per game last year on a very intense team with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Now, he's averaging career low minutes per game, 27.6. And I hate to break it to you, Chris Paul, but the time keeps moving. Brandon Podziemski stepped up while Chris Paul was out with an injury, as Brandon Podziemski should. So I'm not sure Chris Paul is even going to get those minutes back when he does return. Because if you take a look at these 2 point guards, I mean, Brandon Podziemski is clearly the better player here. 10 points per game to Chris Paul's 9. His rebounds are double what Chris Paul's is. His assists aren't nearly as up there as Chris Paul, but that's really the only area Chris Paul has been contributing for the Warriors here. He's shooting better from the field, and he's shooting better from the three-point line. In all honesty, he's a lot younger. He is 38 to 20 years old. Podziemski's not even legally allowed to drink. That's how young he is, which makes me think he's just got more spark to him. That's okay. Father Time does it to us all, Chris Paul. So if you guys had to pick a point guard to play, and Brandon Podziemski has been getting the starting nod as well, which I do think he does deserve to keep. If you had to pick a point guard to play more minutes in the Golden State Warriors, type BP for Brandon Podziemski, type CP for Chris Paul. While you guys are doing that down below, I do have to take a quick second to give a huge shout out to our sponsor here on Warriors Today, which of course is the #1 daily fantasy sports app in America, Prize Picks. And it's also probably the #1 easiest daily fantasy sports app to play. I'm just taking that from experience. It is so much fun to play Prize Picks, and it's super easy in the sense that all you have to do is pick between 2 to 6 players and just pick more or less on their projected stats. These are my Prize Picks for tonight's game. I love the Demons and the Goblins, which is a promotion that Prize Picks is putting on. The Demon here is a harder pick, but a bigger payout. How much? Up to 100 times more. And I always take the Demon with Steph Curry because he's always on Demon time. The Goblin is going to be an easier pick, but not as much of a payout. I always like taking Tyrese Halliburton on the more and Nick Claxton more on the rebounds. I mean, that's got to be money in your pocket, man. This is how you play Prize Picks, and if you guys want to get started today, all you have to do is go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100 and watch yourself win some real money in real time. This doesn't come as a surprise to most Dub Nation fans in the sense that Kevon Looney is not the same Kevon Looney that the Golden State Warriors had last year. He was a rebounding, rim-protecting machine for the Golden State Warriors last year. This year, not so much. And if you look at the depth at that center position, Draymond Green, who's not even a true center, he's just the most aggressive player the Golden State Warriors have. He is obviously at the first string right now. Kevon Looney has been splitting time with him, but not so much. And then Trayce Jackson-Davis is up there with Brandon Podziemski, a young guy that's really proving to Steve Kerr why he should play. Dario has also fallen behind Trayce Jackson-Davis, so it's really anybody's position to take. Draymond Green obviously is going to start. There's no question about that. But the sense that the Warriors have still needed a true big, Kevon Looney has just not stepped up at all in that role. He still has a chance to do that in the second half. Why? Because in the last 13 games, Looney is only averaging 10.8 minutes per game. And I get it. Steve Kerr has been a whole bitch in terms of rotation minutes this season. I will be honest. But Kevon Looney has done nothing to help his minutes, which is where he can really improve this second half and start to get back to what he was for the Warriors this time last year. Here is what the Golden State Warriors need from Looney. You need to start aggressively cleaning the glass again. Kevon Looney was leading the Warriors in rebounds, and now it's Draymond Green. Draymond Green hasn't even played as many games as Looney has, and that should speak volumes. Second, stay in front of your defenders. It sounds like basic basketball, but it's been blowing me away how many opponents blow past Kevon Looney. You're in the paint for a reason. You should be an absolute wall when you're in, and he's looking more like a window. And then lastly, increase lateral mobility. Kevon Looney is looking like a deer that just learned how to walk out there. Not the way Kevon Looney has ever played for the Golden State Warriors. And in my opinion, if you're a professional basketball player, these 3 skills you need to improve in the second half of the season should be easy to do so. Hopefully we do see more of that from Kevon Looney, but I think the last Warrior that does need to improve here is Klay Thompson. This is not anything new that you guys have not heard, but there are a few stats I do want to point out in the sense that I do think Klay Thompson can thrive at his new position for the next 29 games. What's that position? Well, that's second rotation coming off the bench. Klay Thompson needs to explore his new role and ultimately just accept it. Stop trying to be the Klay Thompson you were and accept the Klay Thompson you are now. Why? Because it's working for you, my guy. Look at what you did against the Utah Jazz the other night when you came off the bench for the first time in 12 years. You had the best game of the year. 35.6 rebounds. You made 13 out of 22 shots. Homeboy, we have seen you make 1 for 11 some nights. It's so nice to see you 13 for 22 and even making more from the three-point line. Klay Thompson, you are now a bench player. And respectfully, I am so excited for your new role. And it's not just me. Former NBA players are coming out and speaking to Klay Thompson saying, hey, look, this happens to a lot of guys as they get older. Jamal Crawford was that NBA player who said, look, everybody's trying to bury Klay. I'm like, he's still averaging 17 points a night. I said the fight is within himself because he's been so legendary for so long. I mean, for God's sake, he's the Splash Brother for a reason. Klay's battle is that, and obviously the injuries and everything. Jamal said, with him, I tell him to embrace it. Embrace that bench role. I can give him a whole other wind. I don't see legendary players like that who've had a 4-time champions and averaging 17 points be like, yeah, I'm going to come off the bench. But Klay Thompson, if you accept that role, you can honestly thrive and possibly re-sign with the Golden State Warriors as they see you as a new asset coming off the bench. Because think about this. A second rotation with Chris Paul and Klay Thompson is insane. I never thought in my entire life I'd see Klay Thompson and Chris Paul being bench players, but I think it truly could work for a Golden State Warriors offense that is really starting to find a rhythm with Podziemski, Kuminga, Wiggins, Draymond, and Steph Curry in the starting five. But these are just my opinions on three players that need to improve. You can make your argument for Andrew Wiggins. You can make your argument for Moses Moody, Gary Payton II, numerous players out there. But I want to ask you guys about these three. Pick somebody who you think needs to improve. Type 3 for Chris Paul, 5 for Kevon Looney, and 11 for Klay Thompson. And while you guys are there, my deal still stands. The new 5 people to hit that subscribe button, I'm going to pick at random to give you guys a shout out on our next video. Thank you to all 61,000 plus subscribers to Warriors Stay by Chat Sports, and I can't wait for the new ones.